Is Maduro's Venezuela a paradise or hell on earth? Venezuela was once coined the land of milk and honey. It attracted immigrants from across the globe due to its black gold, having the largest oil reserves in the world. And now, the currency is worthless, with banknotes costing more to print than their face value, and one of the worst humanitarian crises in Venezuela's history. Now you may be asking yourself, what the hell happened? Venezuela, also known officially as the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, is a country on the northern coast of South America, consisting of a continental landmass and many islands and islets in the Caribbean Sea. Venezuela once had the highest standard of living in all of Latin America. From the 1950s to the early 80s, the economy experienced an amazing growth, with immigrants flooding into the country from Europe, East Asia, the Middle East, and neighboring Latin American countries. With the reverse happening now, with Venezuelans flooding into any and every Latin American country they can get to, and gaining the reputation in many countries in Latin America as being undesirable immigrants due to stereotypes arising from crimes committed by certain Venezuelans once arriving to these said countries. These two men, Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro, are the key that opened Pandora's box. For some, these men are heroes who fought for the rights of the poor, and for others are monsters whose ideology led to the complete destruction of the Venezuelan economy. Now you may be asking yourself, what ideology am I referring to? The Bolivarian Revolution refers to a left-wing populism social movement and political process in Venezuela, which came about in the year 1999 and was led by none other than ex-Venezuelan president Hugo Chavez, who coined the name after Simón Bolívar, an early 19th century Venezuelan and Latin American revolutionary leader who achieved independence and liberated most of northern South America from Spanish rule. Chavez's political ideology was centered around creating a mass movement to implement Bolivarianism, which stood for popular democracy, economic independence, equitable distribution of revenues, and an end to political corruption. Although this utopic vision sounded good on paper, it didn't quite translate to reality. In the year 2013, following the death of Chavez, the torch was handed over to Nicolas Maduro. Maduro continued most of the existing economic policies of his predecessor, Chavez. It's important to note that, once becoming president, Maduro's administration faced a high inflation rate and large shortages of goods, which were problems inherited by the policies implemented by Chavez's government. By 2014, Venezuela had entered an economic recession, and by 2016, the country had an inflation rate of 800%, the highest in its history. Maduro's government intensified the crisis with a careless lack of maintenance and investment, which led to a drop in Venezuela's oil production. Not to mention that his government continued to commit grave errors, such as failing to cut spending even when facing decreasing oil revenues, and having the gall to deny the existence of a crisis, which, as you may have guessed, plunged the country into further destruction. Any opposition that arose against Maduro's government was violently suppressed, with extrajudicial killings by his government becoming commonplace, with the United Nations reporting 5,287 killings by the Special Action Forces, FAES, in 2017, with at least another 1,569 killings recorded in the first 6 months of 2019. The UN characterized the security operations conducted by Maduro's government as aimed at neutralizing repressing, and criminalizing political opponents and people critical of the government. The UN also stated that Fuerzas de Acciones Especiales, which in English translates to Special Action Forces, would plant arms and drugs and fire their weapons against the walls or in the air to suggest a confrontation and to show the victim had resisted authority, and that some of the killings were done as a reprisal for the victim's participation in anti-government demonstrations. With this extreme turmoil, an exodus of over 6 million people have left Venezuela since 2015, making it the second largest migration crisis in the world. Due to its proximity, Colombia received the highest number of Venezuelan migrants and refugees at approximately 1.8 million people. Peru is the second largest hosting country with 1.3 million Venezuelans, followed by Ecuador, hosting approximately 508,000 people, and Chile hosting approximately 448,000 people. Although many countries in Latin America have welcomed Venezuelan migrants with open arms, many Venezuelans have also experienced a high level of xenophobia in their new home countries, due to many seeing them as increasing higher unemployment rates as well as increasing crime rates. This has led to many Venezuelans becoming victims of harassment, insults, and even violence by citizens of different countries.
Uno, boluda.
Ahora soy la Tiriela.
¿Drogada qué? Ustedes están drogadas, colombianas de mierda.
Ni siquiera soy colombiana, querida, educate.
¿Educate qué? ¿Educate qué?
Educate y aléjate.
Aléjate qué. Yo estoy también filmando. ¿Filmando qué?
A ver si educas a tu nene, por favor.
What do you think about Maduro's Venezuela and the crisis? Do you support his government and ideology, or do you despise it? You be the judge. My name is Roberto, and I'm the voice behind the channel. I greatly appreciate you watching the video to the end. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And share the videos with anyone that you think would appreciate them. Thank you.